This morning on SkillsUSA News, a UVA student is falsely accused of alcohol possession.
More information on the second Fort Hood tragedy coming up next.
Rolling intro. Stand by.
Good morning, Virginia. Thanks for waking up with SkillsUSA News. I'm Mackenzie Arntz.
And I'm Samantha Eaton. Rockbridge County's renowned Natural Bridge welcomes families to the homegrown experience that is Virginia. Tom Clark, head of the Virginia Conservation Legacy Fund, pushes to make the Natural Bridge experience exclusively one of the state. Foreign-made items are being ousted from the unique inventory as Clark is welcoming in locally made products into the gift shop. Additionally, the bridge is attempting to retain a classical approach to modern-day changes. Unlike making a reservation through the internet as other attractions may do, visitors still have to pick up the phone.
It's really great that people are making an effort to support local economy.
I completely agree. It's a nice change.
Monday evening, 59-year-old Earl Robert Wright of Roanoke was riding his bicycle when suddenly he was struck and killed by a drunk driver. Wright was always seen bicycling wherever he went until his tragic accident only a few nights ago. The van's driver, Ricky Dawn Reynolds of Salem, was charged with drunk driving and DUI manslaughter. Reynolds was arrested in a nearby parking lot where she was then brought into custody.
In Charlottesville, Virginia, UVA student Elizabeth Daly's sparkling water was falsely recognized as beer. ABC officers acted with force to try and apprehend Daly and her friends while in her vehicle. Not knowing if they were actual agents, a passenger in the car talked to a 911 operator to find out as the officers banged down the car and eventually pulled out a gun. Daly finally drove off to the police station where she had to stay the night. Daly was released the following day. She is suing the state for $40 million, whose agents acted out of personal anger.
In national news, a former Marine and Boston firefighter, Paul Kennedy, was killed in a Thursday apartment blaze. He was said to be loved by many and served both his country and community. Many firefighters from around the country attended the funeral where Kennedy's father was presented with the Firefighter Union Medal of Honor for his son. To conclude, Mayor Martin Walsh said, "The loss of such a courageous, vibrant, compassionate man leaves a void in our communities that is impossible to fill."
On Wednesday, a major blow was dealt to the soldiers stationed at Fort Hood, Texas. Specialist Ivan Lopez killed 3 people and wounded 16 others with a .45 caliber pistol. Lopez committed suicide after unsuccessfully attempting to leave the base. Lopez had reportedly gotten into a verbal altercation with another soldier shortly before the shooting began. This event has marked the second item on a list of tragic events that have occurred on the premises.
After 3.5 weeks since the disappearance of the Malaysian Flight 370, there has still been no evidence of the Boeing plane. Since the plane changed its course with no prior knowledge, the case has also turned criminal. Also pointing to the fact that it's criminal is 2 passengers boarded with stolen passports. A British submarine is scheduled to assist in the hunt for the plane, seeing as it has acceptable gear to track the components of the plane.
And that's all we have for you this morning. I'm Samantha Eaton.
And I'm Mackenzie Arntz.
Fading the blood.
An innocent cyclist is killed, and later, some music to our ears.
But first, investigations continue at Fort Hood. I'm Sarah Strunk.
And I'm Lena Mobin. This is SkillsUSA News.
We begin today in Texas, where new evidence points to a possible cause for the Fort Hood attack. Texas soldier Ivan Lopez killed 3 people after reportedly being provoked with an argument by another service member. The scene ended only after Lopez fired his final bullet to his own head. There is no indication that Lopez targeted specific soldiers or had ties to extremist groups, but investigators plan to keep all avenues open in their inquiries.
Time is running out in the Pacific as the search continues for the missing Malaysian Flight 370. Authorities hope to reveal information about the supposedly diverted plane's whereabouts using the plane's data records through batteries that are still running. However, the batteries are set to die soon, increasing the difficulty in tracking the lost plane. Searchers have currently found no trace of the plane, but are still looking.
A local biker has had a fatal accident. Earl Wright was killed Monday night after he was struck by a drunk driver. The driver, Ricky Reynolds, reportedly had a 0.24% blood alcohol content when she hit Wright. Reynolds has been charged with drunk driving and DUI manslaughter. As of now, investigators are looking into her activities prior to the accident.
A Virginia student is suing over an incident involving sparkling water. University of Virginia student Elizabeth Daly filed a $40 million lawsuit against alcoholic beverage control agents. The ABC agents arrested the student for underage possession of beer that turned out to be sparkling water. Daly states that she has incurred post-traumatic stress disorder after the incident.
In Boston, a true American hero sadly lost his life. Former Marine and Boston firefighter Michael Kennedy died when he was trapped in a burning building in the Boston Bay area. The day after the incident, his family, friends, and fellow firefighters gathered to honor him at his funeral. Kennedy is currently buried in a historic cemetery dedicated to fallen firefighters.
And finally, a pop star gone country girl is coming to town to soak up the sun.
That's right. Sheryl Crow is coming to Roanoke's Elmwood Park on July 31st.
Her most recent record, Easy, peaked as number 21 on the nation's single chart Billboard.
All I want to do is go listen to that song. Well, that is all the time we have for today. This is Skills USA News.
Thank you for joining us.
Good morning and welcome to Skills USA News. Tragedy strikes again at an Army base in Texas when an unstable soldier went on a shooting rampage.
Then, a fallen hero draws hundreds to remember him in honor. More coming up. I'm Darla Reynolds.
And I'm Lucas Brennan, and this is Skills USA News. 4 people have been confirmed dead, including the Iraq war veteran who opened fire in the crowded Fort Hood Army base in Texas before turning the gun on himself. A similar incident occurred in 2009 when 13 people were killed and 30 more injured during the deadliest assault on a domestic military base in U.S. history. The shooter, Specialist Ivan Lopez, was said to have a verbal altercation with another soldier just moments before the killing spree began. According to an Army spokesperson, Lopez suffered from severe psychological issues, including depression and anxiety. It is believed his symptoms may have been enhanced after his mother's death in November 2013, according to the close friend of the Lopez family. Though security measures were tightened after 2009, circumstances like this are almost impossible to predict.
Thousands of citizens gathered in the streets of West Roxbury carrying the casket of Michael Kennedy, a Boston firefighter and former Marine. Kennedy was killed on March 26 in a freak apartment blaze, devastating the community. Kennedy was the first responder at the Boston Marathon bombing that occurred in March 2013. Kennedy was a true hero, and as a show of appreciation, the Firefighters Union presented Michael's father, Paul Kennedy, with the Medal of Honor. Those who knew him well mourn the loss of a courageous, vibrant, and compassionate man.
The Boston community has truly suffered a great loss, and his memory will not be soon forgotten. A multinational rescue effort continues to search for the Malaysian airliner that disappeared over 3 weeks ago. Authorities have discovered 2 Iranian passengers boarded with stolen passports, although no terrorist connections have been made. Location devices only have days left before their batteries die and leave search crews without any clues as to its whereabouts. No debris has been found, but the location devices may have drifted hundreds of miles from the suspected crash site. It may be years before the plane is ever found.
Quite a mystery, but it has brought together nations.
Hopefully, their efforts will pay off soon. For all you Roanoke viewers out there, if it makes you happy, go soak up the sun at the Sheryl Crow concert on July 31st.
Wow, Lucas, I didn't know you were such a big fan, but all I want to do is go on to jeffcenter.org and buy myself a ticket for only $15.
A low price thanks to many sponsorships. Well, that's all we have for you today, Roanoke.
We hope everyone can visit us. Remember to like our Facebook page and follow us on Twitter at SkillsUSA News.
I'm Lucas Brennan.
And I'm Darla Reynolds. Make it a great day or not. The choice is yours.
Investigators are looking into the possible causes for last week's Fort Hood shooting, and later, a new way to learn about Virginia's history.
But first, time may be running out in search for Malaysia Airlines Flight 370. I'm Emily.
And I'm Wilson. This is Skills USA News.
We begin with an update on the search for Malaysia Airlines 370. With an international search force looking for the remains of the aircraft, searchers are now seeking signals from the jet's black box. It has been 3.5 weeks since the planes disappeared, with 10 aircraft and 9 ships now participating in the search, but no evidence has been found so far. The black box's batteries are scheduled to expire next week, and searchers are struggling to find the plane before the signal stops.
In national news, investigations at Fort Hood unearthed information about the alleged shooter. New evidence suggests that the shooter, Ivan Lopez, had a history of unstable mental conditions, previously suffering from anxiety and depression. Lopez, however, had an entirely clean criminal record leading up to the shooting. As this investigation continues, the 16 wounded victims are slowly recovering.
Moving to Boston, a former Marine passed away while fighting a fire. On March 26th, firefighter Michael Kennedy died when he was trapped in a blazing apartment with a co-firefighter. Kennedy was known for helping others both in military and civil duties. His father received the Firefighters Union Medal in honor of Kennedy's efforts. Kennedy will be buried in a historic cemetery dedicated to fallen firefighters.
In local news, a new bill has been passed to improve Virginia's homeland security. On Wednesday, Governor Terry McAuliffe signed a bill into legislation which will put Virginia's homeland security planning in the same organization as emergency and disaster response. Although the state had strong disaster response plans in place already, they found problems with the evacuation plans for the Hampton Road areas. With this new legislation, Virginia hopes to be a safer place for everyone.
And finally, tourists can learn about Virginia in a new way.
Head of the Virginia Conservation Legacy Fund, Tom Clark, is building a hotel around the bridge. He hopes to attract families and schools to the area. Tourists will learn about Virginia's history through the hotel.
I bet kids will love learning about Virginia's rich history through this. I know I would love to go.
I've always been very intrigued by Virginia's history.
Me too. I really hope that people can have fun there.
Well, that's all the time we have for today. This has been Skills USA News.
Thank you for joining us.
Great job, guys. That was our best day by so far.
That was
Good job, guys.
Great job.
Good morning. Welcome to Skills USA News. Good morning. Welcome to Skills USA News. I'm Aaron Carroll.
And I'm Joshua Pelkey. Here are our top stories.
Our top story, investigators believe that specialist Ivan Lopez, who killed 3 people at Fort Hood, had unstable mental health problems contributing to his rampage. Fort Hood's senior officer, Lieutenant General Mark Milley, said that there's a strong possibility that Lopez had an altercation with another soldier immediately before the shooting. However, Milley also says that there is no indication that he targeted specific soldiers and that there's very strong evidence that he had medical history that indicates an unstable mental condition.
Michael Kennedy lost his life in an apartment fire last week on March 26th. The Boston firefighter and former Marine was praised on Thursday as a courageous man who served his country and his community. Firefighters from all over the country and thousands of citizens gathered to remember Kennedy, who was buried in a historic cemetery plot dedicated to fallen firefighters. He was only 33. And now, here's an update on the missing Malaysia Airlines Flight 370. Aaron?
Thank you, Josh. There's only a few days left before the batteries on the data and voice recorders on the plane are set to die. And a British nuclear submarine is about to join the multinational hunt with 9 other ships and 10 aircrafts. But once again, the searchers still haven't found any traces of the plane. Back to you, Josh.
In local news, Ronald Keith Merson and Lauren Nicole Sullivan have been charged with burglary and grand larceny, according to police. Roanoke police responded to the church in the 3000 block of Pioneer Road on Sunday morning and found evidence of forced entry. Officers also executed a search warrant on a room at the Knights Inn where the suspects were staying and recovered several items. The suspects were taken to the Roanoke City Jail.
Also in Roanoke, 59-year-old Earl Wright was on his bicycle Monday night when he was struck by a vehicle driven by 33-year-old Ricky Reynolds. Police say Reynolds was charged with drunken driving and DUI manslaughter. According to court records, Reynolds' blood alcohol content was recorded at 0.24%, which is 3 times the legal limit for operating a motor vehicle.
In other news, University of Virginia student Elizabeth K. Daly is filing a $40 million lawsuit against the state and 7 Department of Alcoholic Beverage Control agents for malicious prosecution, failure to train ABC agents properly, and 6 counts of assault and battery. The agents attempted to stop Daly for underage possession of beer that actually turned out to be sparkling water. The suit states that Daly does not and never has consumed alcohol or abused drugs. Daly has a tremor in her right hand, intense anxiety, post-traumatic stress disorder, and other problems as a result of the incident.
And Governor Terry McAuliffe on Wednesday signed legislation that transfers responsibility for overseeing and coordinating effects to strengthen Homeland Security. Following recommendations by the Joint Legislation Audit and Review Commission, the so-called JLARC bill centralizes and integrates the state Homeland Security strategy under Moran, who is now the Secretary of Public Safety.
Well, that's all we have for today on Skills USA News. Again, I'm Joshua Pelkey.
And I'm Aaron Carroll. Thanks for tuning in.
Good evening, this is Tucker Gross.
And I'm Dan Casil with your 6 o'clock Skills USA News.
Recently in Salem, a woman was charged with DUI after a Roanoke bicyclist was killed in a car accident. The man was struck by a van Monday night on Franklin Road in southwest Roanoke. Her court records show her blood alcohol level was 3 times the legal limit. She was charged with drunken driving and a DUI manslaughter. According to the victim's relatives, he was a dedicated and well-liked employee at Ragazzi's.
Currently, the Natural Bridge owner are restoring the landmark back to the old Virginia feel since February. Workers have cleared away decades of overgrowth in the parking lots and building on the property. This year, a $2.5 million restoration project is planned for the hotel that included redoing the 162 guest rooms. The owner has plans to transform all commercial building around 215-foot limestone bridge into a uniquely Virginia experience. This brings visitors into contact with the Commonwealth culture.
In Boston, Massachusetts, a local firefighter and former Marine was killed in a fire in his apartment. He was recognized as a courageous man in Iraq and his community. Thousands of mourners lined the streets as his casket was carried on a fire truck to a church in the neighborhood he was raised in. He was one of the first responders during the Boston Marathon bombings. He will be remembered as a good soul and praised for his military and firefighting service.
A University of Virginia student charged last year with assaulting Virginia ABC agents who were attempting to contain her for underage alcohol possession has filed a $40 million lawsuit against the agent. What thought to be an alcohol turned out to be a bottle of sparkling water. Also, the lawsuit states the state is not at fault by not training the ABC agents appropriately. The student has an anxiety issues and stress disorder as a result of an incident. According to the student lawyer, the agents acted out of anger in their aggressive acts.
In Malaysia, there is a restless hunt for the missing jet's black boxes that signal location, as there are only a few days of battery left. 10 aircraft and 9 ships, along with a British submarine, resumed the hunt for the missing airplane in the Indian Ocean. Early on March 8th, the plane veered off scheduled path and flew over the Indian Ocean where people believed it crashed. 2 passengers with stolen passports have been found with no terrorist group links. In these searches, if no debris is found, the plane might not be found for years, if ever.
To end on a softer note, Sheryl Crow is planned to perform in Elmwood Park in July. The park located downtown Roanoke will host Crow in the newly renovated park on July 31st. She has sold millions of albums and has had many songs make the top 10 country singles chart. Tickets are $15 and go on sale starting April 17th.
Thanks for tuning in for your 6 o'clock Skills USA News.
We'll see you tomorrow night, same time, same place.
Topping the news tonight, 2 charged in a Roanoke burglary. Also, more information on the deadly attack in Fort Hood, and a pop artist turned Nashville star will be performing in the Roanoke Valley this summer. All of this and more tonight on the Skills USA Nightly News.
Good evening, I'm Carly Jones.
And I'm Belle Dickerson. This weekend, a break-in occurred at the Williamson Road Church of the Brethren. Today, Ronald Keith Merson and Lauren Nicole Sullivan are in the custody of the Roanoke City Police, charged with grand larceny and burglary. The suspects were arrested when some potentially stolen items from the church were found in their car during a traffic check.
And Belle, have you heard what's going on with the Natural Bridge?
I was actually there yesterday. Can you tell me what's going on there?
Yes, I can. The Natural Bridge is making its move into the new generation. This March, the Natural Bridge Hotel reopened after the Virginia Conservation Legacy Fund began its renovations of the Natural Bridge and the surrounding businesses. The renovations are being made in order to make the landmark a more accessible and interesting site for the younger generations.
Governor Terry McAuliffe has signed legislation that will transfer the responsibility for overseeing and coordinating their efforts in strengthening the Homeland Security from Secretary of Veterans Affairs and Homeland Security John Harvey to Secretary of Public Safety Brian Moran.
With only a few days left before the batteries on the data and the voice recorders, otherwise known as the black box of Malaysia Airlines Flight 370, are set to die. The searchers have found no trace of the plane, although the Malaysian authorities state the investigation has become a criminal matter because the jet appears to have been deliberately diverted. We will also keep you updated on more information on that.
More information on the attack in Fort Hood, Texas has been discovered. According to the senior officer of the base, Lieutenant General Mark Milley, the shooter, Specialist Ivan Lopez, could have gotten into an argument with another soldier before the shooting this Wednesday. Specialist Lopez's mental history has been brought into questioning, with Lieutenant General Milley stating that Lopez's history of possible depression and anxiety has led the investigators to believe that to be a fundamental underlying cause. The 16 wounded victims have been showing signs of recovering in the Scott and White Memorial Hospital.
And Belle, have you heard about Miss Sheryl Crow?
I haven't.
Okay, well, the Elmwood Park Amphitheater is officially opened, and on July 31st, country star Sheryl Crow will be performing there. Tickets go on sale at 7 a.m. on April 17th. They're $15 and will be sold through the Jefferson Center. Check out their website, jeffcenter.org, for more information. We will definitely have to check that out.
Yes, $15 is great.
That's all we have for you tonight. I'm Carly Jones.
And I'm Belle Dickerson.
Good morning, I'm Hannah Sharples.
And I'm Logan Spencer.
Welcome to your Skills USA News.
With breaking news this morning about the Malaysian Airlines flight that went missing over a month ago. With only a few days left before the batteries of the black boxes of Malaysian Airlines Flight 370 are set to die, 10 aircrafts and 9 ships are sweeping a patch of just over 1,000 miles of the Indian Ocean. The Malaysian authorities are saying that the investigation has become a criminal matter because the jet appears to have been deliberately diverted. Officials and experts are saying the plane may not be found for years, if not ever.
In more news, 2 Roanoke County residents face burglary and grand larceny charges after this past weekend's break-in at the Williamson Road Church of the Brethren. The church's pastor and members of the congregation reported several items missing. Officers charged Ronald Merson and Lauren Sullivan with burglary and grand larceny.
Our next story is a rather sad one. Michael Kennedy, a Boston firefighter, was killed in an apartment blaze last week after being trapped in a burning building. He was praised Thursday by firefighters from around the country and citizens numbering in the thousands as his casket was paraded down the street on the fire engine in the West Roxbury neighborhood where he grew up. One of his fellow firefighters carried Kennedy's Ladder 15 helmet ahead of his casket.
A rather touching story, Logan. Earl Robert Wright, age 59, was on his bicycle Monday night when he was struck by a van on Franklin Road in southwest Roanoke. Wright died, and the van's driver, Ricky Dawn Reynolds of Salem, was charged with drunk driving and DUI manslaughter. Her blood alcohol level was 3 times the legal limit. Police arrested Reynolds in a parking lot a short distance from the scene of the accident.
To end on a softer note, Sheryl Crow, who has recently moved into the country music world after years of pop hit music, is coming to the Roanoke Valley. She will perform at the newly renovated Elmwood Park on July 31st. Tickets are $15 and will go on sale at 7 a.m. on April 17th through the Jefferson Center's box office.
Thank you for joining us this morning. Be sure to tune in for our noon report.
Have a great weekend, everybody.